This street came out of Blender. I described cobbles, and this is what came back. Every board on this deck did too. Not a download, not a scan, not a texture site. Two halves. First, the method that makes a texture you own, then how AI does that work, and the one job that stays yours. The model is driving Blender, not a texture site, mesh for the patch, geometry nodes for the wrap, an ortho camera in EEVEE for the maps, shader nodes to break the repeat. You describe a surface, the model builds it, you look once, keep it, or reject with a reason, and that reason becomes a tool. You need weathered planks, so you go looking. The good ones are behind the subscription. The free ones are the wrong scale. Half of them have a license you have not read, and when you finally tile one across a floor, you can see the grid from across the room. There is a better way, and it is the most obvious one. If you want a texture of planks, model some planks. This is the part most tutorials skip. Do not start in the shader editor. Build a small square of the actual surface in geometry. Boards with real gaps between them, a bit of warp, chipped ends, a nail or two. Anything you would notice in real life. Geometry is easier to art direct than a node graph. If a board looks wrong, you move the board. You do not go hunting for the noise node that made it wrong. A patch on its own has 4 hard edges, and hard edges are seams, so before anything else, make the patch wrap. Copy it into a 3x3 grid, then delete the middle. Now build your surface in the hole. Anything that runs off the right edge is already running back in from the left, because you can see it there while you work. Same top to bottom. When you are done, throw the 8 neighbors away and keep the middle. That is the whole trick. The patch is now seamless because it was built seamless, not because it was blurred at the border afterwards. Now take 4 pictures of it, all from the same place. A camera straight overhead. No perspective, framed exactly to the patch. The first is color, lit by nothing, a flat white world so you capture the paint, not the lighting. The second is the surface direction, so a flat plane can catch light like real boards. The third is roughness, so the worn parts shine and the dry parts do not. And the fourth is height, measured straight off the geometry, so the gaps between the boards are real depth. 4 pictures, that is a PBR set, and it is yours. Put it on a big floor. It tiles perfectly, no seams anywhere. And you can still see it, not the seam, the repeat. That one knot, that one dartboard stamped out in a grid across the whole surface. Your eye finds the pattern in about a second and then it cannot unsee it. This is the point where most people give up and go back to downloading. One switch. Instead of reading the texture once, the surface reads it 3 times, at 3 different offsets along the boards and blends between them. Watch the joints and the screws. A moment ago they marched in a grid and now they land wherever they like. That grid was the repeat. It is what your eye was finding. This is a real technique, not a blur. Look at the knots. They are still sharp, the boards still have edges, the grain is still grain, the pattern is gone and the detail is not. The method does not care what the surface is. Woven cloth, model a few threads crossing, wrap them, bake them. Cobblestones, model a handful of stones, wrap, bake. Same 4 maps, same switch, completely different material. One thing to know on a surface with a strong direction. Floorboards are woven weave. Let it offset the texture, but do not let it spin it. Rotation is what makes a random surface look random and a laid surface look wrong. Here is what actually changed for me. I do not build the patch by hand anymore. I say weathered dock planks, 2 meters, salt bleached, gaps wide enough to see through. It writes the scene, builds the boards, wraps them, bakes the 4 maps, and hands me the result. That is most of the work. I look once, keep it, or say what is wrong in a sentence. That sentence becomes a tool the next surface already has. Approve or reject with a reason. The reasons stack. You do not need a texture subscription to have good materials. You need a small patch of real geometry, a way to make it wrap, a camera pointing straight down, and something to break up the repeat. The method is 4 ideas. The loop that actually makes them is this. AI does most of it. You judge, keep it, or reject with a reason. That reason becomes a tool. That is the whole loop. If this was useful, subscribe. Thanks for watching.